You know, things that you just can't get rid of. I think that there's kind of there's a happy medium between having all the stuff and I think this. Somewhere along the line, we have to have a kind of compromise. The third principle of having a simpler life is beware of gadgetry. Now, there's a commercial that you will see later on today at the Super Bowl when you're watching it. I've seen it a number of times already, and it starts with a mansion, and you kind of go in through the window, and there's the big dining table with a roasted pig there, and it says goodbye gluttony, goodbye stuffy, good day, good night, outdated, and then it shows a picture. That's the outside of it, and then it zooms in on the Mercedes, and it's good night, old luxury, and the lights of the Mercedes goes out, and then the next is your Audi A8 with the cool, stuff, and you can go to the next slide too. But the thing that grabbed me was that you go inside the car, and there's all these gadgets that are just great, and I tell you, I was just ready to get rid of my 2-year-old Mercedes and go, I don't have one, but just go out and get one. I needed to have, well, not really. I mean, I can get along without the gadgetry. I know a guy, and don't worry, the person's not in the room and you don't know him, he's from Council Bluffs, but he has all the gadgets. And he syncs all his calendars together because he has his computer at work that syncs with his iPhone, which syncs with his iPad, which syncs with the computer at home. The deal is he never can get to places anyway. He always forgets. You kind of wonder, with all the technology, is that really helpful? And myself, and again, I'm not saying do what I do, but I had a smartphone, but last time I got one, I'm going backwards in technology. I have my old flip phone, or I've got a flip phone, and if I need it for talking, and that's about it. I remember when I was a pastor, before coming here, and I was about 34 years ago, and I remember being in Minnesota and thinking, things are too complicated. I mean, that was back, before computers and everything, and I thought, wouldn't it be great, wouldn't it be great to be a pastor, and all you had was your horse and your Bible? What? And I said, no, that would not be, there's a couple of things that I find really helpful. One is the telephone. And I'm not just talking about cell phones. I'm talking about telephones, period, where you can talk with people without having to go there. And, it makes life a lot more efficient. And secondly, the computer. I use my computer for preparing my sermons. It is so awesome. I mean, I write my whole sermon out, and it's great to move things around, delete things, add things. It just makes putting your sermon together. And then when the media works, that is even great too. Plus, being able to use graphics. It was 2 weeks ago. Were you here in church 2 weeks ago? Raise your hand if you were. Yeah, that was when church was canceled. So, 50 years of Lutheran Church of the Master. Never canceled church on a Sunday. We made history 2 weeks ago. And so it was strange. What do you do when you're a pastor and Sunday morning? It's like, so I went in and I woke up my wife, Marge, and I said, Marge, I'm going with church. She goes to Salem United Methodist Church in Council Bluffs. I said, she's always been asking me to go to church. I would like you to go to church with me. And being, pastor here, I get 4 weeks vacation and 4 Sundays vacation. You are not able to tell this to my wife, but, you hate to burn a Sunday of vacation when you could be using it snowboarding, which I'm doing next week, and use it to go listen to Methodists. It just... So it was kind of like a gift. 2 weeks ago, I said, Marge, I'm going to church with you today. And she is all groggy. She thought that their pastor was sick, and they called me to fill in or something. No! church is canceled. So we went to church, and the sermon that was preached, they have a pastor that's just been there for a few months. He's from South Africa. I love the accent and everything. And his sermon was so right on. It talked a lot about my previous sermon on meditation, and also he had things that I was going to be talking about today. And I thought, man, that would be great to get. He had the Dave Ramsey quote and everything. I had it in there already, but if he had some other things, I thought, man, that'd be great if he could just email me the sermon, and I could, kind of look and maybe enhance what I had created already. And I had noticed when he was preaching, he would turn pages, and I thought, 'cause he used a manuscript, and I always, when I used to use a manuscript, I always slide the pages across, kind of, I didn't want Chris Hoyme counting the pages, now we're on 8, it's not going to be 15, certainly not. So I asked Les Green, my wife's pastor, if he could email, but I thought I better go up. I went up and I looked on the pulpit, and his sermon had been written longhand in a spiral notebook. And I thought, what century are we in? I thought, I would never want to ever go back to handwriting things. And I thought, I guess that emailing thing. I thought maybe he could scan it and email. I thought, well, if he doesn't know how to use a computer to type in, he's not going to figure out the scanning and emailing part. But there are certain gadgets that I'll still use. The fourth principle is to enjoy without owning. And as we look at Matthew chapter 6, we have this parable that he says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. The storing up and accumulating. There are things that we can do without owning. My wife says, wouldn't it be great to have a home on a lake? And her brother, who lives in Duluth, has a home on a lake and everything. And I thought, I don't know if you can go to lakes without owning a home. You can actually go there and, public beaches or whatever, or camping, or rent a cabin or something, or the other kind of thing is the cabin in the mountains would be so great. Well, you can actually go to the mountains. I am going to be going Thursday, and you don't have to own to enjoy. And, parks, the city is full of parks. You don't have to necessarily build a full-size jungle gym in your backyard for kids. My kids used to go to school at Prairie Lane, which is right south. We lived in Prairie Lane, south of the East Campus, and they'd always go to the parks. They'd say, Mary R. Queen School was there. We're going to the park at Mary R. Queen, and then Prairie Lane School was there. We're going to the park at Prairie R. Lane. No, there's no R in the lane part, but they'd enjoy that. But the greatest thing that I've found, and that's for me, is this. This is my Council Bluffs library card. Now, and also on the back side is an endorsement for the Omaha Public Library. And I can use the Omaha Public Library as well as Council. And you, too, if you would so choose to cross the river, and if you had an Omaha Public Library card, you can have endorsements for Council Bluffs. But the great thing, I read a ton. I read a lot, and I also listen to audiobooks. And to be able to just check them out and then check them back in and not have them accumulated. And not only are you not accumulating, but it's cheaper. Free is a lot cheaper. And and they have the audiobooks I listen to all the time. It's a half hour from home to here. So I have them going in my car. And you can even just download them to your computer and put them in your MP3 player. Don't even have to go to the library anymore to get them or to check them back in. It's awesome. So the whole aspect of to enjoy without owning. And Luke chapter 15, Jesus tells that parable about the guy that had, it's a gospel lesson, that had the big crops. And he said, I can't store them. I'll, tear my barns down, build bigger ones and store them. And lo and behold, God says, hey, tonight you're going to die. Who's going to get your stuff? We need to think about, living a simpler life and maybe enjoying without owning. And the fifth principle then is to seek God. And in Matthew chapter 6, we read, Jesus says, don't worry about your life, what you eat or drink, or about your body, what you'll wear, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. And it's all about perspective. What is important. And that I think that the more that our lives become complex, maybe because of things we have, or maybe because of the activities that we're involved in, the more complex our life is, I think that there's less room in our life for Jesus Christ. And by seeking to simplify our lives, we free up space and time for Jesus Christ to live within us. The final passage I share with you is 1 Timothy chapter 6. And Paul says this to this young friend: do not put your hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but put your hope in God. Do good, be rich in good deeds, and be generous and willing to share. And then that next verse, verse 19. In this way you'll lay up treasure for yourselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that you may take hold of the life that is truly life. And I think that that's God's desire for us, that we take hold of life that is truly life. And by simplifying our life, we can do that better.